The multiplication principle, what Jesus knew about making money. So, hello once again. My name is Deremy Jolet, and welcome to the Proverbs 31 CEO podcast. And today we're talking about the multiplication principle. Now, let's dive right into it. You've heard people say Jesus was poor, Jesus didn't care about money, right? You've probably heard money is evil. If you're following Jesus, you can't be rich. It sounds hilarious, right? It sounds ridiculous. And somewhere along the line, you believed it. So you decided your business shouldn't make much money either. But here's what nobody tells you. Jesus thought more about money than he thought about almost anything else. And he didn't teach that money is bad. He taught how to multiply it. And that's what we're talking about today. And it's going to change how you see your income as a Christian woman who is building a business that God has called you to build. Let me tell you about a woman Jesus met at a well. She had five husbands. She was living with a man who wasn't her husband. By standards of her time, she's an outcast, broken, rejected, not worthless, not worth Jesus' time, sorry. But Jesus stops her and talks to her. He doesn't judge her, he sees her, he tells her the truth, and he offers her something, living water, something that will never run dry. She leaves the water jar and she goes to tell everyone in her town about it. Now, most people read the story and they think that it's about salvation. And it is, but look at what happens next. That's what we want to highlight, right? The woman brings the whole town to Jesus. Everyone wants to talk to him. They're inviting him to stay with them because of one woman, a broken, rejected one, as that. A whole community gets transformed. One woman. Now, here's the principle in that story that we're going to be applying in business. One small action multiplies into something massive. One small action multiplies into something massive. One sick person brought a whole community. She didn't have much, she had a conversation, and that conversation changed everything. And now that's what we call multiplication, right? Let me remind you of another story where Jesus actually showed multiplication, right? Five loaves of bread and three fishes. Jesus multiplies that to feed 5,000 people, right? He took the little the boy had and multiplied it and fed everyone, and they had leftovers. That is another principle about multiplication. So, how do we bring it back to your business? It doesn't matter how small your gift is, how small your audience is, God can give you. You can apply this multiplication strategy when God breathes on it, when you have strategy, when the compound effect is kicking in. Right. Now let's go back to how we're connecting this to business because I've said two transformational stories, right? You're thinking about money wrong. You think money comes from working. It does. There has to be an exchange of value, right? You work more hours, you make money, you make more money, right? You work less, you make less, right? Money has now been tied to, hold on. Money has now been tied to, sorry, it felt like it wasn't recording. Money has now been tied to hours, right? And that's linear, and that's something that will keep you on the treadmill. But multiplication is different. Multiplication means that you do something once and it makes money pay many times, right? Over and over and over again. Jesus understood this. Look at what he did. He healed one person, and that person told other people, and those people came to him, and that one spread. And that one action multiplied results. He taught 12 disciples. Those 12 disciples went out and taught thousands. One teaching multiplied exponential. So we're talking about exponential growth where you serve one client really well, excellently. Like excellence is worship. So your way of serving clients shows the kind of Christian you are. Right. And so if you serve excellently, few people well, those few people can go and bring in the thousands. And that's how exponential growth can occur, right? He gave a woman truth at the well, and that woman changed her entire community. And that's multiplication. Here's what you're doing instead. You're trading time for dollars. You're doing a one-on-one coaching call and you make $50. You do another call, you make $50, right? And that's going to exhaust you. Imagine doing 20 calls for that, right? That's not multiplication. That's just working a lot. But what if you created something once, let's say a course, a system, a framework that could serve 100 people at the same time? Do you see how multiplication comes in here? You work once, it makes money 100 times over. Now that's multiplication. And here's the thing that kills me. You already know how to do this. You already have the thing that multiplies. It's your framework, it's your method, it's the way you help people. You just haven't packaged it so it could multiply. Perhaps you've packaged it, but then you do not know how to sell it because packaging it is not the same as positioning and selling it. Right now, you're keeping your best stuff in your head. You're sharing it on one-on-one coaching calls, and you're reaching very limited people, only the people that you have to coach. But what if you documented it? What if you created a digital product? What if you created membership that brings in recurring revenue? What if you gave people access to your framework without you having to be in every session? Now, that's what we call one-to-many. So the one-to-many approach is a very sustainable way to scale your business and have that compound effect. That's not less valuable. That's actually more valuable because you get to help more people, more impact. The more impact you can make by helping more people, the more kingdom projects you can fund, the more you can give back to charity, the more you can become the kingdom financier in your ministry, right? And you would not be working more. You will actually be working less because you built something that is sustainable, that sells itself, and that is multiplication. So I need to call out something right now, and I'm saying this with love. You're scared of digital products. You're scared of having systems in place. You're scared of creating courses. You're scared of selling your systems. You're scared of selling your frameworks. You're scared because you think it means you're salesy. Perhaps there's fear there. There's fear there. Perhaps there are some internal money blocks that we need to discover. I'm going to be talking a lot about all the money blocks and the lies that are keeping the Christian women entrepreneurs from selling. It's going to be called Called to Prosper. I'm still writing it. So if this is something that you're going to be interested in, I want you to drop wait list in the comments. But it's I have noticed that a lot of Christian women are really great at what they do, but a lot of them freeze when it comes to selling. Some don't have a problem with packaging and positioning and, putting the bow on it. But then once they put the bow on it and package it, they don't know how to sell. They freeze, right? And this comes from internal money blocks and also fear. It cripples you. And so you doing that, you don't know what you're actually doing wrong, but you're being selfish. I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me here. You have a method that works. You have a way of helping people that actually transform them, but you're keeping it harsh. You're hiding it. A city on a hill that cannot be hidden. So why are you hiding it? Right? You're keeping it to yourself. You're just serving a few people just in your ecosystem, and that's going to keep you small. All because you think selling is wrong. Some people think selling is wrong. That's another set of people. But meanwhile, the person who can benefit from your framework, the one who can't afford one-on-one coaching, they're not getting help. They're staying stuck. The person who could get faster results with your system documented, they're waiting for you to have an opening for a coaching call. The person in another country who could use your help that cannot afford your hourly rate, they're doing without. And you're telling yourself you're being noble, You're being humble. You're putting people first. No, you're limiting yourself. You're limiting the people you could serve, and that's not a kingdom. That's a scarcity mindset dressed up as playing small. God didn't give you that gift so you can keep it small. He gave it to you so you can multiply it. And anytime you do this, you're bearing your talent. You become like the parable of the talents, the last one who buried it and did nothing. Yes, you think you might be doing something, but you are not reaching the people that you have been called to serve. You have been called to serve nations. You have been called to prosper, and you cannot prosper if you play small and operate in a scarcity mindset. So here's what you can actually do. Before that, I think there's a story about my own journey when I started selling products. I started out charging hourly, and I learned that was not the right way to deliver. And so I started charging for the transformation of my product. At first, I was charging hourly, but I realized that that was not the transformation that clients were paying me for. If I helped a client to make their first $1,000 or high ticket sale, how much how much was that worth to them, right? For someone, that could mean that they could drop the second job they were working. And so me charging hourly for that was not right. And so I moved from selling hourly to packaging into a high ticket offer, right, where I could charge $1,500 for an 8-week program to maximize the time because I was doing one-to-one. And with that kind of container, I was making sure that I was looking inside their business. And so that was how they were able to make money in that period of time, 6 weeks to 8 weeks, especially if they were complete beginners, right? And so that's an example of charging for the value instead of lowering it and charging $50 an hour and working with 50 clients to make 500 when you can work with one client or 3 clients and make 4 or 5K. That is how you can multiply your income. And then another way, I talked about the membership, I talked about digital products, there are also workshops and master classes that you have done with past clients that you can bundle up and sell. That's also another way to sell one to many, right? And so that was an example of that. So the actual math could be selling a one-to-one at 5K, right? Or selling a course $500 to 50 people. You'd have to choose your path, right? One-on-one at 5K brings 5K income, and then 500 at $500 cost to 50 people also brings its own income, right? That's $25,000. And so look at the actual mark. One is limited. You're just working with one client, brings in huge amounts of revenue. And then we have one skills. You can sell that to 50 people and reach more people and even make more money, right? And so when you run the module, which is the one to many sales module, which enables you to serve a larger number of people, increase your impacts, increase your income, right? The burnout literally goes away because now you have systems in place that's selling and serving multiple people without you necessarily being in the room. And that is how you can multiply your income. So that is an example from a real life, right? So here's what I want you to actually do. I want you to take what you know, your framework, your methodology, your masterclass, your workshops, and ask yourself, how can I package this so that it can help people without me being in every single interaction? That might be a course, that might be a mentorship, right? That might be a combination, maybe a hybrid, right? And then for those who just want the framework, a digital products. And so that's what the predictable revenue system does. It shows you how to layer your offers so you're multiplying your impact without multiplying your hours. You're not working more, you're working smarter, you're creating leverage. One framework, multiple ways to access it, or multiple streams of income, multiple ways you are serving people, and that is how you multiply. And that exactly was what Jesus was teaching. And here's what, when you think about this week, what's one thing that you do that creates the most transformation? What is that framework? What is that methodology? What is that system that works? Now, I want you to ask yourself, how many people could I serve with this if I didn't have to be in every session? Once you answer this question, that is your multiplication point. That is where your real income lives. It's not in working harder, it's in creating leverage. And when you do that, you are not just making more money, you're serving more people. You're building more kingdom impact. You're actually living out what you say you believe. And if you're ready to stop trading dollars for hours and start multiplying your impact, multiplying and monetizing the audience that you already have, here is where to start. I invite you to the revenue recovery audit, where I will show you where you are stuck in the hours for the dollar drop and what digital products could actually work for you, what offers we can layer in to scale your income. And if that is not for you, you can join the Proverbs 31 CEO Inner Circle, where we are building digital products, creating systems, and multiplying impact together. You will see exactly how others are doing this. All the links are in the description. If this has been a blessing to you, share this with a fellow Christian entrepreneur who wants to work less and more, applying kingdom principles like we talked about to multiply their income. I'll see you on the next episode. Stay blessed.